All right, what is up, guys? We are in a new place. If you have not noticed, if you have not seen my post, it has been honestly crazy these last couple weeks, but we're here like we always are. We have a packed day and also just a lot of things to talk about, to monologue about, a whole bunch of things. I've also got a whole bunch of new tech stuff that shout out to Edits by Space. He helped me set up a whole bunch of things that we can do and kind of clip in real time. And we're just going to test out a few things as well from a tech standpoint, but you guys will not even notice it. It will be so easy, so seamless that you guys won't even know. And there's a lot of people in chat already. We got Artemis here, finally able to tune in for one of these lives, already in the building. Also, shout out to Artemis, who has been making these banger articles. If you have not been on our LinkedIn, our Substack, she has honestly just skyrocketed the amount of engagement and really reach that are on those platforms, right? A lot of LinkedIn and Substack obviously don't like video content as much, and that means that Artemis steps up, and she has honestly been crushing it. We also have Shasan in the chat, as always. 1 hour delayed for me because y'all decided to have daylight savings. Dude, it is the worst thing ever created. Honestly, from a parent's perspective, the worst. Back in the day, fall back, as in spring forward, fall back used to be the best because you get an extra hour of sleep. Not anymore for kids. You lose the precious time between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. And now my son is waking up at 4 a.m., which used to be 5 a.m. And now I'm just tired. Send help. Please send help. Let's go. AE in the building. Dude, AE, I cannot wait to see you and V. We need to set up a meeting time for everybody that's kind of around Alpha Wolves, gamified, and everybody that's in the Philippines. I want to do a meetup with just kind of the Wolves and Friends type of group, and that's AE. Mr. KH, yo, what is up in the building? We also have Artemis saying it's a silly thing. They keep saying they're going to remove it, but they never do, and we're talking about daylight savings here, guys, which is the worst thing that's ever been created. They also did a whole bunch of sleep studies off of this, mostly because there is a huge down track of productivity after everyone's trying to keep up with sleep deprivation and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool, but also sad. So why do we keep doing it? I have no clue. All right. But we also have AE here also saying 1 a.m. now, 2 a.m. in our time. Dang it, man. I'm so sorry, AE and Shasan, that you guys lost an hour. I really apologize. But, 6 months, we'll do this whole dance again. So Mr. KH, great buddy. Yo. Super excited to have this one. Actually, speaking of, I did not replace this. 1 second, guys. I want to kind of go over what we have for today and also make a little bit of a sad announcement on one of the guests that I was talking with him this morning. So Rick is going to be up first, Ric Moore from Moonfrost. I'm really excited to dive into his approach and how he's actually talking about game design and how he's been also building in Web3 gaming. I've had a lot of not direct conversations with Rick, but a lot of people I like Moonfrost, right? And I'm also a huge Stardew Valley fan, which doing my research, thanks, shout out to Shasan, they helped bring Stardew Valley to mobile. So really cool. We're going to talk about him, about how he's approaching the building of a cozy game, but also on Web3 and tying those elements together, but also a longtime video game developer from Flash to Facebook to mobile. We're going to get into all of that. We also are going to be talking to Wei, who's the co-founder, NRN, agents, all that kind of good stuff. We're going to talk about his specific shift from, not even just shift, but additions in terms of robotics and AI. The sad thing is that Vader ended up having a personal issue that kind of came up. We were both talking about how excited we were about the show this morning. And then he had to, unfortunately, about an hour ago, he was just like, hey, dude, I can't get out of this arrangement. I won't talk about the details. But unfortunately, we're going to have to push that one. But what we're going to do is something that I haven't done in a while, but I'm going to talk with Vader on the side and say, hey, let's do a recording on the things that you guys are doing. And then we'll rip one here just to make it up for the guys that are really looking forward to the, Vader AI. I was super excited about Vader because we've been going back for 4 years. And I was really excited to talk about his pivot from gaming to AI and decentralized AI into now kind of a little bit of combining the both of the worlds, which is gamification through decentralized AI and learning mechanisms for that. So it has been really, really cool just to talk about everybody in and out every single week. And really, really pumped. And also, what do you guys think about the new look, the new setup. You guys like it? I have like all of my things that I'm going to be posting up on the walls, all that good stuff. Let me show you guys if I have something here. I want to show you guys kind of what I'm going to be putting in the background. So one of the things that a lot of people don't know about me, maybe some lore for Payton, is that I was an officer in the U.S. Navy. And when it comes to this, there was a lot of certificates that I ended up getting. Unfortunately, certificates mean I've been underway a lot. So shout out, love you, my love. The one that kind of stayed home and unfortunately couldn't travel the world with me, which is my wife, but I love her dearly. But I have a plank owner certificate, which means that I've commissioned a ship. Which commissioning is that if you are a brand new ship, you're being built, there's that first initial crew. That was me. So that's plank owner certificate. One of the other ones that is super rare. So this is extremely rare because you have to be there whenever the ship gets christened and all that kind of good stuff. The second one, though, is also extremely rare. I'll be right back. All right. And then this one. This one is one of the most rarest certificates that you can get in the Navy. It's called Order of the Ditch. So Order of the Ditch means that you went through the Panama Canal. So there's like things that like you go through the locks, it raises the water. Really cool piece of technology. Really, really, really cool. Anyways, I want to show that to you guys because these are two of my rarest certificates in the Navy. I also have a shellback, which means that you got to pretty much cross the international date line. And so you do all the ceremony and all that stuff. It's really fun. It's a Navy tradition, but can't talk about that. All right. And as you guys know, the golden ship or the golden wolf in the back is my PFP. So I have not set it up yet. I haven't set up anything yet, mostly because I'm busy. We have a trip to Manila here coming soon. It's been a crazy, crazy time for me. Who knew having a baby into moving into planning a YGG Play Summit conference with 10 plus creators that I love dearly and want to make sure that I am a good partner, but also am a good friend, would be very stressful if done in a very short time period. Pro tip. Pro tip there. All right. Checking out the chat real quick. Artemis saying, honestly, looks pretty similar to the last. White walls and a wolf. Thank you, Artemis, for my beautiful design aesthetic here, which is that's pretty true. I am not the best in terms of interior designing, mostly because I have to upkeep anything that I actually do, right, Artie? So that's what I think. And then AE, love the sun rays, natural lighting. Yeah, absolutely. It was cute, though. My daughter, I don't know if you guys can see it because I'm going to blind you guys. It's a flashbang. But the nativity set and then a whole bunch of like other things that my daughter, my Willa Ray, she was just like, oh, can I like design this? Not design it, but like, put it together. I might have just ruined the shot. Whatever. We'll see. That was a dumb move. Yeah, so that's cool, I guess. Artemis, my daughter would suggest pink walls and rainbows. Yeah, maybe. Something cool to do. And then love the ship design on that certificate. Very old school. Yeah, it was really cool. Like one of the shellbacks that I got certificate was like too modern. Like it was just like a 3D image and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't really like it. Yeah, so it is what it is. Wait, I messed it up, guys. All right, there we go. And there's just my tripod in the back. So I need to throw that into that. Like you guys shouldn't even see what's to the left and right of me. So this is for you guys. I went in. So, yeah. In terms of Navy, we can talk about sea stories. Hey, we have some time because Vader unfortunately had a personal issue come up. So we can talk about sea stories if you guys want to. We can do a little bit of it. I have a lot of sea stories, a lot of things that shaped my life in a way that's very unique. So, 1 second, guys. Just want to make sure that Rick is up first, and I just want to make sure he knows everything is good to go. Or I want to make sure he's good to go. Sometimes I start monologuing and I do not track what I need to do. But we still got 5 minutes. So I just want to make sure he didn't big name. Nope, he did not. Okay, cool. He should be showing up on Google Meet here soon, guys. And we're going to talk to Ric Moore about it. So for people that are just tuning in, we have some happy news, but also some sad news. Ric Moore CEO of Moonfrost, is going to be coming on first. He's going to talk about his approach on how he's building out a Web3 game. Guys, I'm actually really excited to talk to him about how he handled the backlash. If you guys remember, Moonfrost had like this huge like publicity of like gaming and went to IGN. It was all over Reddit, all that kind of stuff. And then like everyone then started finding out that it was a Web3 game. Before even playing it, before even touching it, they were just like, oh, this sucks and all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, oh, dang, that's really a bummer. I remember feeling like, as somebody that really loved like this technology, as everyone knows that I do, I was very surprised and sad that like everybody was going to be so hostile to this tech, but it is what it is. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. And I'm really wanting to see his approach and how he's building. It's very different too. And I think Moonfrost has been kind of like those one of those games that is like been building just as long as everybody has, but then like we haven't gotten as many updates. It's probably my fault, to be honest. And this is the reason why we do Alpha Wolves. So shout out to Artemis as well, hooking this up, because I wasn't really close to the team on that much stuff. I was very close to members of the team, but never close to the team members, which Artemis hooked that up. So shout out Artie. Shazam's liking my golden wolf. Yeah, man. Did you guys know that like I didn't pick my wolf? The community picked it for me, which we're gonna talk a little bit about communities a little bit later. Gosh, geez, XQC a little bit. XQC a little bit. I cannot stop not talking fast. I need a pause. But yeah, one of the other amazing achievements in my life is wolves, which we'll talk about that a little bit later. Very sentimental for me because it's the first community I ever made, and it is the one that I'm still running. And so very thankful for this community. We'll talk a little bit about it. Unfortunately, got cracked in the mail and all that stuff, but this company is currently out of business, so I can't order a new one. Minted Solid, which was a really cool company, just didn't have enough inflow because of NFTs, unfortunately dying. But anyways, I'll be right back. All right. And then the other things that I'm going to be talking about today is a few things. One of them, we're going to talk about YGG and the Play Summit and how we're going to be approaching it. We're also going to talk a little bit about, with Vader kind of able to give me some time back. So thank you, Vader. We're going to talk a little bit about like the different types of pillars for wolves, help me and just like articulate some of the stuff that I'm wanting to talk about at YGG and Play Summit Manila. So if you guys can indulge me, we can talk a little bit about that as well too. All right, looking at here, RD saying Moonfrost, my cozy obsession. I'm super excited about it. I only played like maybe like 20 minutes of it. I remember I really liked it, and then I ended up getting like what's it called? Messed up for Jackson came in or something like that, and then I just like never really put it back up, or like it was shut down after that. And then AE saying noise. K and I also thought when we create merch around it, that it's really majestic. Yeah, thank you, AE. Really excited about that. And then V, we're gonna do IRL Alpha Wolves on Manila. What time is it's like at 1 a.m. isn't it there? Maybe maybe we just go to dinner. How about that? How about me, you, AE, and all that stuff? I buy you guys dinner in Manila. That'll be great. Okay. I'll be right back, guys. And then I think we're ready to go. When it comes to that, we'll do some mic checks and all that good stuff. All right, guys, we are here with Ric Moore of Moonfrost. We're super excited to talk about with the first interview of today for Alpha Wolves for episode 8. Ric, I have a little bio for you, and then we can jump right into some questions. But Ric Moore has been building through every major shift in gaming, from Flash to Facebook to mobile, and now he's leading one of the most anticipated cozy games in Web3, which is Moonfrost. He co-founded Bosa Studios, shipped with Monstermind, which went on to win a BAFTA for Best Browser Game, helped bring Stardew Valley to mobile through The Secret Police, and today runs Oxalis Games, backed by Supercell, Animoca, and Pantera. We're going to talk about how he's approaching building Moonfrost, how he's balancing cozy design with ownership mechanics, and what it was like when that trailer went viral and suddenly flipped into backlash, the love, the noise, and what that moment taught the team. Ric, welcome to Alpha Wolves. Super excited to dive into these topics today and really appreciate you making the time to join us, and shout out to Artemis for making it happen.
Yeah, pleased to be here.
Yeah, it was honestly it was a really cool opportunity whenever Artemis reached out to me, mostly for the fact that I've been really close with members of the team for Moonfrost, but I have not ever actually talked to the leadership. I've followed everything that you guys have been doing for the last few years and have been really loving it because I've grew up playing Stardew Valley. It's one of my top specific hours synced in when it comes to it, and it's just one of those things that I turned on and I got to escape. Right, it's one of those cozy games like you said, and it's a genre that really birthed this stuff. And I also played Terraria. I played a lot of these games that kind of ended up becoming this genre. And so, first of all, why did you want to make Moonfrost in terms of your studio?
Yeah, so my background is connected to Stardew. So before we started this company, I did the mobile version of Stardew. So this was there were two of us working on it, and yeah, I spent about a good 2 years. The first year was redesigning it for touchscreens. Basically, if you'd played the original PC version, a lot of people just thought, "Oh, that's not going to work on a phone," and so we had to completely change the controls. I added stuff like pinch zoom, path binding.
Oh, cool.
We had to rebuild the entire UI. So yeah, and it's done well. It's not ideal on a mobile, but I think we've made it as good as it can be. And it's got 5-star reviews on mobile as well, so I think it must have paid off. But yeah, whilst I was working on that, I kind of think to myself, why is this so successful compared to Harvest Moon? Which it's almost a remake of some of those Harvest Moon games. And if you were going to do a sequel or a spin-off, what would it be? And so I had this document kind of built up, and it had a working title, Moonfrost, which is just a riff on Stardew, right?
Right.
Not even subtle. And that's kind of where it formed. And then I was looking to do a new thing after that company, and I teamed up with Gina, who I'd worked with previously on a game just before Stardew called Dragon's Watch. She'd gone off to Mediatonic, had a baby, was on maternity leave, and I needed some art for a pitch I was doing for Lionsgate, which is again a Stardew type game. Lionsgate were looking for people to make games of their IP. So I was went through their catalog on Wikipedia, and was like, oh, no one's done a Twilight game. Why don't you do Twilight Stardew? That's got to be brilliant. And so that's how we started the company, and we pitched that, and we ended up working with Lionsgate for
very cool
a good 18 months, and they were how to develop that idea and some other ideas. It never came to life because Stephanie Meyer, who wrote the books, is not into games, which is why there's 5 movies and no Twilight games. But we got kind of strung along for a long time, and whilst this was happening, this is 2021, and the last, it's the last bull market, and then there's this whole emergence of play to earn, right? With people in the Philippines making a living out of playing this game. Oh my God, X Infinity, isn't it amazing? So we thought, well, we're proper game developers, and I'd been into crypto since the previous cycle. I got Gina into the crypto side because I was like, everything's pumping again. I need to go off and finish these bots I started. So I built these trading bots for Binance Futures. I kind of got her into it because it was boom times, and we were making a bit of money.
Exactly. The same thing. That's how Wolves also started our specific one. Is doing all of those like bots and, research and all that stuff together. And we made a lot of money together. We lost a lot of money together, and there's just memories that are created, right? So.
Yeah. In many ways, we're just in the right place at the right time with that.
Correct.
And so we put together a pitch deck, which was like Web3 Stardew, or Stardew Metaverse, right? Which was the buzzword in 2021. And raising then was really easy. We had a PDF. So Supercell, we actually knew Supercell from when we were doing Dragon's Watch. They actually flew us to Helsinki to pitch that game.
Very cool.
And they passed on us then, but obviously made an impression of some sort. And they, like everyone else, was kind of eager to get in on the crypto gaming action. So that's how we got them on board.
It's so cool, right? Like Rick, like in terms of like some of the stuff that you kind of talked about, or like with Supercell, where they like flew you out, and sometimes they might pass on you, but also like you also have the opportunity in the future that when stars do align, you can actually have an opportunity to work with each other. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, I think it was just the game we were working on didn't quite fit with their thing. Indeed, I think now it's probably true again.
Yeah,
they haven't invested in any other crypto games.
Right.
They do have an investment in a Spanish studio called Games for a Living. Which was Web3, but I don't know what's happened to that. I don't really hear about them much.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. And so in terms of like the next iteration that like really kind of hits you guys on the scene, and I'm very curious to see if this actually this moment, if you look back at it, like impacted the way that you built moving forward. But one of the first trailers was a beautiful trailer. It was really taken by storm through like all those specific major like news outlets. It blew up on Reddit, and there was like this amazing, I'll probably overlay it on the clip as well, but it's like a beautiful trailer. Everyone really liked it. Then they found out that there was elements to it that had ownership or Web3 or any of those specific, like the metaverse specific buzzword at the time. And then there was like this sudden backlash, but no one actually played the game, but like, it was just really funny. So like what was going through your mind during that time where you were being like really excited about this game, thought there was a really cool reception, but then like something that you couldn't really control, which is like the implementation of like the tech, everybody also did not have a very good reaction to it.
Yeah. So this has been a problem all along. And like our mission originally was to try and bring the masses to Web3.
Right.
And the way we wanted to do that was by making kind of best in genre game, regardless of whether it's Web2, Web3. It'd just be like, here's the best life sim like Stardew, happens to be Web3, and Web2 people would want to play it because they just like that kind of game.
Right.
So, I mean, we still kind of taking that philosophy.
Right.
But yeah, like I see we've encountered like content creators like in the cozy realms who have taken a very harsh negative. Oh, these people have NFTs. Oh, they're evil. Yeah. And then there's others who just they don't really care, don't really know what that means, and just kind of like the look of the game and are up for playing it. But what you kind of see is you cannot reason with these people who are anti NFTs. And if you actually watch their content,
right,
they're actually able to explain why it's bad, or they'll like reel out the old tropes of it's bad for the environment and things which are just disproven, right? Unless you're using Bitcoin or something. So we treaded very carefully around our messaging early on by saying we didn't want to use the word NFT. We'd use like collectible items and stuff like that. And even that bit us in the ass because people are like, oh, they're not telling you what they're really up to.
There's always something, Rick. There's always something.
We were just trying to like make it more accessible.
Right.
So, but like, I think, for me, I think that one of the biggest lessons after all these years is that Web3 audience and like traditional games audience are completely like separate things. Yeah. They don't really overlap at all.
Can you dive into that, Rick, of just like, because one of the reasons why we made this show is to capture actually the lessons, right? Back in 2021, there was really like there's this thesis that we all had, to your point, you kind of touched on it, like Axie Infinity, play to earn, ownership. We thought that a lot of gamers would technically like that. There was a lot of like, probably bad actors, not probably, there was a lot of bad actors that kind of ruined the specific image for everybody. But could you dive more into maybe the intrinsic, extrinsic motivations, or any of those specific players of regular gamers, but also the Web3 specific gamers, or degens, as a lot of people like to call them.
Yeah, I think, well, anyone who plays games that aren't Web3 are just looking for games that they find fun and
right,
a good game. And actually, these kind of earning things are off-putting to them. Whereas Web3 gamers, if you don't mention that stuff in how like you're presenting yourself on Twitter or whatever, then they're not even going to look at the game. They want to know, can I get my airdrop or earn or whatever?
Right.
And the rest of the game falls by the wayside. It's almost like, I mean, I'm sure they appreciate it on some levels, but
right.
Basically they're there to try and extract value from it.
They like it from the scene of like, hey, this actually looks like a good game that Web2 gamers would like, so I'm going to buy in early and then sell on the Web2 gamers in a lot of ways, right, in terms of earning potential.
Yeah, there's a bit of that where it's like, oh, it looks cool. I think it has the chance to, right, do well. But I also think that over the last 4 years, say, like, that kind of mindset's changed. So when I got into crypto, people would read about a project and go, oh, this is going to be the next big thing. I'm going to get in and hold, right? And now everyone's just like, as soon as they get their hands on the token, they just want to dump it because it's going to go lower. Right. And so this kind of belief, because something looks cool, is just gone. Everything's shifted. And yeah, and even with on open loot, so what we've seen is some other games tried to do these mystery box sales, and if they had items which weren't directly related to earning or improving their earning or something like that, they just didn't sell. They couldn't mint out. So if it was just like cosmetic stuff,
wow.
And I think that kind of sums it right up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for us, it's kind of made it very clear that there's Web3 and there's not Web3.
Right.
And also, like, the gameplay gets in the way, right, of the earning. You have to do all this extra clicking to get that token. Like, that can become hassle.
Yeah, and that's okay. So that actually, it's a question that I put in the read ahead a little bit later, but I want to bring it up now because you've had a really good transition on it. But like, how do you balance that? How do you balance between like the cozy players that are just playing for like, maybe the intrinsic motivation of like people like Stardew Valley, like myself, just played it just to have fun, to escape and all that stuff. But then the ownership mentality of maybe people that like do it, but then also the trading. Like, how do you balance all of that? Like, where do you abstract like crypto? Where do you say like, hey, where do you kind of get out of the way and let them just go and have fun with it, right? Like, have you like thought about that a lot in terms of the balancing of this?
So we went through this journey where we were almost going to go to Apple Arcade. Basically, so the original amount of money we earned, we burnt through quite quickly. And so we were looking to raise again in 2022, 23 even. And because of the nature of the game, we could potentially raise from like traditional games funds as well as Web3. But Web3 market at that point was quite bearish, and investments weren't quite so easy to do. And that's why we shopped around everywhere. And so we thought we were going to go to Apple. And then they backed out after 6 months, and we managed to scramble together a crypto round. And so that really decided we're going to be properly Web3.
Yeah.
But in terms of how we balanced the game out, like, because the thing is, at that point, it was like Web2. While we had designs for a kind of economy stuff, it wasn't quite like where we're at. I mean, and then when we signed up with Open Loot at the start of the year, their kind of whole approach was, follow our big time playbook.
Correct.
So we redesigned the economy around kind of that mindset, because big time, as the big success story, was not talked about much on Twitter. Like Pixels was the big game of 2023.
Right.
Actually, in terms of making money, big time made a lot more than Pixels.
Can we go into that, Rick, of just like kind of some of the economies of it? So like, kind of like what Open Loot, because there was somebody that approached us whenever I was at Champions and also at Shrapnel. We were really looking at it closely. And to your point, Big Time made a lot of money in terms of like kind of the economy and the way that they shaped it. But would love to get your rendition, especially somebody that has been in Web 2 and also been building in Web 3 for a while now.
Yeah, well, it seemed good. And so World Shards, so that was like the number 2 game after Big Time, which appeared on Open Loot, and they did really well from those mystery box sales they did in 2024. They made just under 9 million, I think, from a mixture of that and premium currency sales. And this was before the economy was live, so people were just buying into the hype, thinking this is going to be Big Time number 2,
Big Time 2.0,
and everything was priced, like all the NFTs are kind of priced based on what the equivalent things were in Big Time. And so when we did our first mystery box sale, I have spreadsheets that look at the floor prices of everything on Open Loot, and I was working out, well, what do I think these things will go for, and it played out like exactly as we expected. But since then, the market turned very much so, and Boss Fighters token they launched, I mean, it's practically worthless now. It's under 1 million FDV. And then World Shards, they were supposed to launch their token at the start of the year.
Right.
They launched it a couple of months ago, Binance Alpha, Bybit. It's now around 30 million FDV. Sprung back, but it did drop to half of that. It wasn't a great launch, and it created a load of FUD, like a load of negativity, and this kind of trickled down into our community as well. We had a lot of these angry Chinese players in our Discord, and then if you go on Open Loot's Twitter, you see that sentiment in all the comments on their tweets. And so it affects us, right? Because people then look at our game with this sort of degree of caution. Because another thing World Shards did was all this money people had been spending in the build up to TGE, which they thought they were just going to get the token and then dump it. They switched to it so you couldn't cash it out like that. You had to swap it for another token or an in-game currency, which you could only spend in game.
Right.
And this has a negative impact on us as well, because it kind of makes people cautious about, oh, well, I don't want to spend money in that game now that the token's got out, because what if they do the same thing?
Right. Exactly.
And then you look at this other game, it's gone bad, and so on. And so people are just a bit more hesitant. Around.
I think that's also the case of, like, even if we zoom out to the macro environment of like Web3 gaming, is like a lot of people are hesitant. To your point, you also kind of alluded to it at the beginning of the call, which was like, hey, a lot of people just get the token and sell it. And I think that's also just the meme cycle also affecting the macro environment, like Pump.Fun, all those specific ones of like, hey, this is just like a cutthroat, ruthless, specific time. You just get your token and sell it, and that's it. Because, like, you know, there's just a whole bunch of things in the philosophy. Like, to your point, 4 years ago, we were reading white papers. Now we're reading a post and then just dumping, right? Like, that's just kind of how we've progressed. And that might just be the people that are left from it. Maybe there's not as many believers as they were before, which makes me sad. But yeah, to your point, it is kind of like a cultural specific thing that we have now, which is like the only utility of the token is to sell the token.
Yeah, and I think on top of that as well, the exchanges compound this problem, because people like point farming on Binance Alpha, or you've got the Bybit mega drop, which is just an airdrop for people staking their token. So what happens is like a few percent of the token gets dumped on launch by the exchange users who have no interest in your product or the token. They just want to get their free stuff and go. And so that just puts a load of sell pressure. And then you have to pay them hundreds of thousands of dollars in some way, one form or another, in order to get on that exchange.
And also get a whole bunch of percentage all to it. To your point, and to people that are like maybe not understanding what me and Rick are talking about, is usually you have to give a certain amount of token percentage to these, you know, centralized exchanges to be able to do like a certain amount of volume for like the market makers, et cetera, et cetera. But they also give a percentage of the token that you give them to incentives like, you know, Alpha and Bybit and all that stuff, to be able to give it to people that have never heard of Moonfrost, that have never heard of any type of game, and they are just like, ooh, new token airdrop, sell it right away, which causes sell pressure, which is usually on the people that you are building a community around.
Yeah, and the other one, which I'm learning from people in the trenches, is market makers who use a loan model. So most market makers will try and get you to agree to this approach, and it involves you lend them a percentage of your token, and they have a call option to buy it
Correct.
And it's usually at a kind of, not a pre-agreed price, but it's like, it'll be like the 7-day moving average since launch, with maybe some discount applied or something.
Right.
But what tends to happen, because we're in a market where everything just goes down, these market makers take 1-2%, say, of the token, and they'll just dump it as fast as they can.
Right.
And then they will buy it off you at a much lower price later. And I know a few projects who, so to mitigate the airdrop from like an exchange, projects sometimes try to buy it so the price doesn't crash on launch. And what they end up doing was buying the loaned tokens from the market maker, and then it crashed anyway.
It's so true. It's like such a hard, specific problem to solve, right? And that means that there's just like not a lot of liquidity. It's also, there's like the high float, like low or like high FDV, low float. There's all these different types of tactics, right? In which that like we're kind of getting into the nitty gritty. So I'm glad that we're going in here, Rick, because like this is not something that a lot of the public knows about, but it is a lot of the things that people should know about, because this is the environment that we're in, right?
Yeah, it's certainly hard for devs. I think devs should know about this, because I'm kind of the view that if you're launching a token now and you're following this playbook, you're going to be dead pretty much on arrival. And that's kind of why I've been a bit more hesitant about launching a token.
Yeah.
The one thing I like at the moment, I don't know if you've seen it, is Aerodrome. They have a thing called Ignition.
No, I haven't. Please.
Yeah. So Aerodrome's decentralized exchange on Base.
Right.
And they've got this new launch program called Ignition, where it's basically Aero holders. They can kind of vote. So you have to give them incentives. So it's been like 4 or 5% of your token supply you give to these people, who will then create the liquidity pool for you, right? Cool. So it's basically free to launch, and the fees are quite high. So this kind of disincentivizes them to just dump. And the people doing it are kind of doing it on the kind of belief that it's worth backing these projects. So it just shifts the model around a bit.
So it kind of decentralizes the centralized exchanges. Well, that's why there's DEXs, which is stupid that I even said that. But like in terms of the DEXs, right? In terms of they're kind of using this as like a publishing agent or providing liquidity pools, but also decentralizing it to the point where there's more people that are providing liquidity pools. Is that right, Rick?
Yeah, they also, so these people are the voters, and they actually set what the token launch price should be. And so they can profit in that kind of way. Cool. Yeah. And there's incentives for them to kind of stick around for various epochs. It's quite complicated, to be honest, but I think the intent is good that's there.
Yeah.
And it also means, like, as a developer, like if you're launching on say Binance Alpha, they like ask you to have like $1 million lock value in that liquidity pool that you have to create as well.
Correct.
So this is like $500,000 USDC that you need to have in order to just do that. And so this kind of passes the risk on to the community, effectively, the people who want to do it. And so there's an upside for them potentially, but it de-risks it for you as a token launcher.
Yeah, it is like very like all of these things, and this kind of gets to my next thing, Rick. And I know that we're already this has been a fascinating thing. Like this already zoomed by, but I want to talk a little bit about like the amount of people that you have to have, or like for devs and for builders that might be wanting to come into the Web3 space. The teams are also a little bit different, right? So you've had teams and I hate to call it Web 2, but just like in the traditional gaming specific sector that does not have crypto related, we'll just say that. And then also crypto. And I've had some people on the guests in the past that I've talked to is like community managers. Even the community managers in the way that they are operating are very different from the traditional gaming sector versus this. They're not just like a glorified moderator. They are people that are pushing things, possibly a collab manager, et cetera, et cetera. So what other things, in your opinion, should people like think about in terms of like maybe hiring or thinking about more critically, hey, you should have somebody a little bit more higher senior in this? Apologies.
Yeah. So, I mean, in our team, the people making the game, all of them come from traditional games development. It's been our community marketing. So Jace, Murdoch, Jihi, they all come from Web3. And myself, I'm very much got my head in the space. But yeah, most of the team don't really care much for it. It's just, I think it's a shame on the one hand, like, but like one of our artists is quite into it, but like generally they don't really care. But yeah, certainly I think having the community people very important. And Murdoch, like,
Murdoch is very involved. He was DMing me about all the specific things that, he's an ambassador in a lot of ways for your specific game, right? And that does wonders for you, especially on like crypto Twitter or like the peer-to-peer space where it is very involved with communities. Like Artemis knows him, everybody kind of knows him. So there is this kind of point man for you to be able to bounce ideas off of from the community and be able to capture those resources. But that's not really, something that's I guess in traditional gaming, they also have community managers like that. But those are usually whenever they balloon out to the point where it's almost too much to have.
Oh yeah. So it's the same. So the same thing happened with him and with Jace. So Jace was our main guy.
Oh yeah, love Jace.
Years before those bastards at Ronin poached him. But like Jace was in the Royal Marines before he joined us, and he was. So we did an NFT drop on Solana in 2021 for another game, which is coming hopefully soon. And that's how we met Jace. He became a mod there and wanted to work with us more. And with Murdoch, I got an intro from Diff, who's doing Gigaverse, of course.
Yep, Gigaverse.
He said, "Oh yeah, this guy was big in Pirate Nation. I think you should speak to him." And he's
a great dude. I love him. So good job on that. Okay, so we have like 2 more minutes left. I want to be able to get to Moonfrost and kind of everything that you guys are going to. And again, we have more than 2 minutes, so I'm mostly keeping time for you and also respect your time. But for the aspect of Moonfrost, where you guys are going, how can people get really associated with you and join you on this? I think you've also got a lot of fans inside the chat as well too. So just kind of maybe speaking to them for a second of like where you're at, where you're wanting to go, and who should be joining you on that journey.
Well, we've got a big announcement coming very soon. I can't reveal it just yet, but
okay, sounds good.
We're trying to adapt with where Web3's at the moment. Like I've already alluded to, if you kind of follow the old playbook, death awaits. So I think we're trying to just tread carefully. Like the games right now, which are big, are stuff like Gigaverse, Cambria. I think Fish and Frenzy's got legs.
Yep.
I would have said Lowland, but that was not a good launch. They did.
Yeah, it wasn't a good launch. But I would say that the dynamics of them playing and earning and the incentive specific thing has been working up until that point.
Yeah, and they've made 6.5 million, so they say, which I think in this climate I'd be happy with that kind of thing.
Yeah, same.
But what all these games highlight is you need a small team that can move fast and build quickly, and and that's kind of where our head's getting at. Moonfrost has been a big, slow beast. And I don't think it's not sustainable in its current form.
Right.
So, so we're going to announce some big changes very soon.
Cool.
But that's all I'm going to say for now.
Awesome, Rick. Well, was there anything else that you wanted to talk about? Where can people follow you? I have your X handle down below underneath your specific panel whenever people are watching this. But what the Murdoch and us as well to kind of get some of those updates. But anything else?
Not that I can think of, but just follow us on Twitter, and you'll see our big news very soon.
Well, Rick, I do want to have you on the show again. To be honest, would love to do this and also start the relationship off as well. And so we'll clip this up and we'll get to show you more on the public domain as well too. So thank you so much for joining and sharing some time with me.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Yeah. Happy to come on again if that's what you want.
Yeah, I would love to, especially whenever you have like some of that, kind of maybe like articulating some of the things that you have been kind of building and understanding. Would love to get it in. And then also I just kind of got to pick your brain and it felt like it was very one-sided. I get to let you talk more about Moonfrost, but would love to talk more about all the things that you're doing and what you're developing.
Cool. All right. Sounds good.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks, Rick.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Have a good one. Bye.
All right, guys. 1 second. There is just like currently I'll keep your guys' chat up. But for some reason, I think my camera overheated or something. I did try something different with the camera. I'm on like the 4K capture card, which means that it probably overheated, which is not good on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to my Osmo Pocket just to kind of do that, but I need to set the scenes for it. Let me try to do this just in case it does go out again, which it probably will. Osmo Pocket. So, yep. Yeah, apologies, guys. We'll get it done. Not worried about it. Yep. All right. Let's check that off. All right, cool. Apologies, guys. We have like a little bit of a mix-up. Not a mix-up, but like my camera's overheating on my Sony, which is not good, right? Which is not good. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to like kind of let it rest for a little bit. I'll switch over to Osmo. Let me set the scenes up just in case. I didn't like that. Like I went dark and all that stuff. So during those times, in terms of clip that stuff, it makes it very frustrating for it. But no problem. We're going to get it going for it. And then I'll get your guys' chat up here as well, too, while I set this up. Alrighty. Cool. Yeah, what's a live stream without a tech issue? Mostly, it's like I happened a couple times, Artemis, whenever I was kind of doing some like things with the Sony, because we were fixing an issue that I had, and probably some of the clippers understand this, but the issue that I was having with my Sony was that it was like turning off for a like second or so, but like I'm using a capture card now instead of that, but I also don't know if the issue's with the Sony or not, and I might have to just plug it into USB. Yeah, I might have to plug it into USB-C, which is unfortunate. Which, space, Zoe, I blame you. All right, so yeah, bullish on Rick, W Moonfrost, you gotta love it. The good old camera overheating. Yeah, usually I'm like good to go. I've never had a camera overheat, at least my Sony, but I did do something differently, right? So it is what it is. All right, 1 second, guys. I am going to check this camera. Here, I'll hit up. Be right back real quick. Okay, we back. Hopefully that was quick. All right, so I just switched back off to I'm plugging in directly now. And so, yeah. Oh, wait, that's not even working. 1 second, guys. I'm all tossed around. Oh, you know what? I don't want to do that. Got to do stuff on the fly. Which is good that Vader didn't come, because this tech issue would have been a big issue. BC. All right. All right. So that I'm back, but the delay is pretty bad. So I need to fix the delay. So we're doing this as like a learning specific mechanism. You see like my specific lip sync with what I'm saying and my movement is just not matching, but on the camera it is. So I need to be able to delay my specific audio to match my words. I feel like I'm in like a subtitle specific Korean soap opera. 1 second. All right. So is that better? That could be a little bit better. A little bit better. You can see it's kind of it's starting to match. Let's go into a little bit more. 50. Test, 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 test. A little bit better. I need to monitor it. Okay, testing again. Test, 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 test. That's crazy. It's crazy that I put on that much. Apologies, guys. Test, 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 test. All right. I think we're there. All right, audio sync, hopefully. Maybe not. What do you guys think? You guys think that's better in terms of the syncing issue on my mouth? No, it's still bothering me. Because you guys probably wouldn't tell. Testing, 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 testing. All right, cool. Anyways, where were we? Let me hit up space real quick just to test this live. Feels worse. Thank you, Artemis. All right, so yeah, for sure. It's definitely worse plugged in. Here, let me see if testing. Is that better, Artemis? Oh, wow. Man, it's a bummer. It really is a bummer. Yeah, I think Space is going to come in and see how my thing is pretty delayed. Pretty delayed from what I'm talking about, or testing. It's live, guys. Sound is going in and out too. Okay. We're not going to mess with it too much. All right. We're not going to mess with it. All right, Space. I need to delay it, but I don't know by how much. Couple seconds. How is that? Is that better? Artemis. 2500. Is that better? Is that better, 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 better? Pitter patter. Pitter patter went to pick a. I don't even know what the rhyme is, to be honest. Yeah, it could be, but I just switched back to USB-C. So I'm using Sony imaging. So I don't know how much. The overheat for the HDMI, that's off. Yeah. But I delay it though, right? Space, right? Camera's lagging. 3-second delay about. Okay, let me try. Or I need a, do I need to delay the image? Is that what I need to do? I need to delay the image? Well, that's like too much delay, I think. Playing my image or my audio? Space. I have literally my mic. It's not even close. Slayer. It's hilarious. I have no clue. I could just I'll just switch to my Osmo Pocket and make this turn into, that's what I'll do. All right, guys. We're going to this camera. Luckily, delayed is, so it looked delayed. I think it wasn't delayed, camera was lagging. Whatever it is. It's all good. I don't need to troubleshoot it anymore. At the top of the hour, we'll start a new segment. So, no, I don't need to clap. I'm good to go now. I'm good. We'll fix the specific Sony one a little bit later. No problem, Space. But that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that I have a $7,500 camera, which is body and lens, and it delays. And I'm using an Osmo Pocket right out of the rip, and it's not good. So, all good. All good. Alrighty. We still ball, so all good. Alrighty. All right, so fixing this, and then I'll fix my Sony into the Google one. It is what it is. Yo, this one has issues as well too. But yeah, this one's an Osmo Pocket, so hopefully it shouldn't be delayed. Should be pretty clean on this one. And then yeah, we'll try to fix the overheating issue on the Sony A7S with the 4K in Vanto. It might just be, yeah, we might need to turn down to 1080 or something. But it is what it is. I forgot to turn off the desync. Shout out. Thank you, guys. All right, how's that? Better? That one's for you, Space. Yeah, Artemis, welcome to the show. We do this every week, by the way. Yeah, man, I just don't understand. I buy all this equipment, I have all of these things, and it does this to me. Don't appreciate. Appreciate it, Space. Yeah, I forgot to turn off the. I was still unsyncing my audio for this one, so. Yeah, so we'll have always. So this is what I was talking about you and Zoe, right? This is what I was talking to you and Zoe. It's obviously I'm in a toxic relationship with my Sony A7S III, and I don't know why we keep on trying to make that toxic relationship work whenever there was good old faithful Osmo Pocket 3. Yeah, live entertainment is hard. Much better. Slayer hitting me with it. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. So now we can make content without worry. And then everybody that's on my Google Meet is the one that has to suffer with a desync audio issue. But all good. That's their problem, not yours, right? Okay, guys. Okay. What do I have to do here? Okay. We are on to the next segment. So for people that don't know, we just finished up with Ric Moore. We have Wei a little bit later today, and then Vader unfortunately could not make it. He had a personal issue come up while me and him were talking this morning, and It just happens. But without like making sure that anybody like isn't being left out or any of that stuff, we'll make sure that we get him on a recording some other time this week, and we'll try to release that, or I'll post it some other time, maybe live on stuff, all that stuff. So all good. Yeah. V, that's right. That's true. That's true, V. Okay. You guys are the ones I care about the most. Okay. I get all these guests for you guys, not for them. Right? They're getting publicity. You guys should have full, no delay Payton at all. So, what if I was trolling you guys the whole time and I'm just secretly a ventriloquist? I could not be a ventriloquist because I can't say freaking words. Okay. Well, I need to dance for a little bit real quick while I set up all the different scenes using my Osmo Pocket. Instead of Sony. Yeah. For the fans. Yeah. Now I need to have like a different like media source for the interview. And then after this should be good to go. Video capture, add existing Osmo Pocket. Man, oh man. He also shouted out Jace. That was so funny whenever he was saying. Rick was also very honest. I freaking love that. I love that about founders that are just like straight up like honest about the things that they're currently building. Everything that he just said there, guys, is like kind of like not taboo, but no one talks about that in the public domain. Mostly because of, issues with centralized exchanges, et cetera, et cetera. So it just becomes a big issue because nobody wants to talk about it. But it's something that everyone finds out about. It's all jacked up. All right, cool. All right, fixed that one. So whenever we have a Google Meet, we'll be able to transition from this to that. All righty. And then that should have everything. That's everything, guys. It's everything for now for this show to be able to be good. Okay. I lied. Okay, cool. Now I'm good to go. I had to set up that scene as well. All right. Wow. That sucked, but we got there. And it also didn't really affect Rick. It only affected you guys for a second, Out of curiosity, what are those two planks for? V. Those are floating shelves because I'm married, right? So whenever you have a wife like I do, you will get floating shelves at some point in your life. You also start expanding your vocabulary to aesthetically pleasing. So, I love marriage, by the way. So what they're supposed to be doing, V, you put it on here, then you put one of those on there. So yeah, there it is. There it is, V. I was in a good freaking motion too, man. Even in the beginning, in the first 10 minutes, dude, I was on it. Now I have to get back into it. All right. So, and it's bothering me with like this thing's on a gimbal, so I can't just fix it. I have to literally toggle this thing. I feel like I'm centered, but like not on OBS, but whatever. Whatever. Have you moved onto discussions of paneling walls yet? Wait, what are we talking about here? Panels, like what kind of panels? Like those like slats? But the panels, I would say, Artemis, I'm not versed in the panels. You gotta teach me. You gotta teach me. All right, let's talk about some things though. Let's talk about some things though. Oh yeah, there's just a whole bunch of home upgrades, right? When it comes down to it. That's just how it is. It's home upgrades. And they're just forever. Okay, that's better. That's what was missing. It's me just moving a little bit. This is also what Willa did. This is like I loved it. Nativity set. I can't break it down because we're moving. Obviously, you find boxes and you find things that are not supposed to be like they're seasonal. We have a nativity set, and Willa set it up. She's so cute. So she has a good eye, Artemis. She has a good eye. So real cool. Real cool. Yeah. Parenthood is awesome. All right. I forgot to do the raw video. Guys, I'm so shambly since it overheated. All right. But does this make you guys love me less or more? Because right now, oh, I need to also pack that up. Yeah, anytime. I'm so glad that you're here with us. This is bothering me, though. And usually we don't have this much time in between guests, right? We're supposed to already be 30 minutes in or 10 minutes into Vader, but unfortunately he had a personal matter come up, which is totally fine because things happen, as I know, for sure. As I know. Okay. All right, let's talk, though. Let's talk a little bit about it and also get the chat back up as well, too. But we have a lot to talk about when it comes to a lot of things that are happening within Wolves and just a lot of things that's been on my mind lately. So one of them was like really B2B streaming. So B2B streaming is something that has not been really, how should I say it? Has not been really explored. And what I mean by like B2B streaming is kind of like what iShowSpeed and what Kai Cenat does is do these like streams for B2B. Or they don't do it for B2B. They do it for like consumers, right? So iShowSpeed goes all around the world and like goes to experience other cultures and like does it on like YouTube. Kai Cenat gets a whole bunch of like people coming to his house, or he like puts it out and then like does all of these like really cool collabs. What I will say is that like there's not really a lot of people that do like IRL streaming or take streaming really seriously, but for the B2B realm. And whenever I was thinking about this, whenever I was talking to Space about it, was what does that look like? What is like a B2B stream when it comes to people that are potentially want to be into business, people that are in business? Like, how do you actually create streams for them? Because I do feel as if like streaming, IRL content, all of these things are going to be the medium of choice for content, especially as like AI starts eating all of these different types of ones. So, the Phase Adept guys just like had like really, or not Phase Adept, but just like Phase House had like a huge live stream. They do IRL. They get to like go to all these different types of places. They have like bonding services. And so they go out and they do that. But again, all of those are actually consumer-based streaming. So they go out and they make entertainment-specific streaming things for people that are currently in the vertical of like, I don't know, the demographic is like usually 12 to like 20-ish, 20s. But like, is there a place for B2B streaming for like people that are in their mid 20s to like 40s that are currently trying to break into business, be a better professional, et cetera, et cetera? And we were kind of talking about like what kind of things would we do in terms of streaming. We talked about going to different conferences and doing live interviews and going to experience people's projects and products, because you're making it accessible for people that are currently at home, like Artemis, like my wife, that are like currently like stay-at-home moms and all that stuff, that are wanting to experience and build themselves up. But fortunately, they are with the kids and everything like that. But sometimes they do want to go experience things that they're not able to do. And so we can enable that by doing streams. Their second is like going and spending a day with a founder at like a different company, right? AI, robotics one, all that stuff. It's like Marquise or Claire Abrams, all these specific ones that actually do streaming, or not streaming, but do content, but long form. They go to all of these different types of factories and they cut it up. But it would be really cool to actually go to these places and experience the day-to-day, to go talk to the janitor, talk to all the specific ones, and kind of see it through the tech stack. Not the tech stack, but the people stack that actually work there. And so there's just all these really cool ideas that's been swarming in my head about B2B streaming, and would love to kind of talk to you guys about that just for a little bit. And so one of those things that I really would enjoy, obviously, because I think Wolves is very much has these content creators that actually very much love innovative tech and all that good stuff. So, yeah, so it's really cool. And then V, you said that the just chatting part is one of my favorite segments, actually making the host feels more connected with the chats. Now, I appreciate that, V. V is really, really awesome. I'm surprised, V, that you think that, because you've been part of it and you clip in all these specific ones. I think that you do have some of the funniest clips of me, especially the one with the Giga Chat bat of the catcher one. I think, let me see if I can show it so people are not feeling left out from this. V, or people know him as Vix, but V had like a really funny thing. If you can link it, V, I can also pull it up. He had such a funny one. It was like something about Giga Chad Bat. And I remember dying laughing over it. Yeah, I can't find it right now, but V had like a image of me playing Giga Chad Bat with Dub and Doug, and it was like one of the funnest that I actually had in a long time. So really, really exciting. Okay, but yeah, in terms of going back to like the B2B stuff though, like for me, the main thing that I want to start like thinking about or like ideating about is like understanding like what people want to watch. Because I think the tricky part about B2B streaming is that not everyone can like watch all of it, right? Usually whenever you're 12 to 20s, like you don't mind sitting down and watching a stream or putting it on a second monitor while you play video games or whatever. And does that actually scale with a demographic being older? And I think it does have some things, like obviously clipping and that specific strategy has to be a part of the idea. But I do think that B2B streaming is something that is very fascinating to me. Obviously, conferences is a huge thing, empowering other people to go to conferences and be a part of it without having to spend a lot of money on it. So it's like a little bit more realistic journalism of like, hey, these are actually the products. We're talking to the founder, et cetera, like what a person would do at a conference if they didn't. Like second is like going into IRL streaming with actual founders and seeing what their day-to-day looks like and getting and gleaming insights from it for it to be able to put into a vlog or like a VOD in it. I think there's just like a lot of cool mechanisms for B2B streaming that has not been explored yet. And so, yeah. Anyways, I want to go more into it. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is like YGG Manila. So I'm super pumped. We are going back to YGG Play Summit in Manila in 2025. It's going to be really exciting. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of things with the YGG team, but also with our sponsors. Like we have a lot of like cool sponsors that we're going to be announcing here shortly. We just announced that we are doing a activation with YGG. Some people were like thinking that like, oh, are we doing a Creator Den back? Of course, we're going to do it again. And so super excited about doing that and getting that involved, as well as every one of our sponsors as well. So really, really cool. And then for the other thing with YGG is that we're going to be testing out some new things. Like we're going to be doing an IRL stream for the Manila specific group, and we're going to stream like I think all day Friday. So we're going to go to the conference and then go play laser tag, and then go to do a activation for games.gg. So really exciting to see how that all comes to play. And so the Game Awards should be fun. The conference is fun. Everybody within like the Philippines is just amazing in terms of accepting us into their home. And so really can't wait. AEV, Sammy, I can't wait to actually like see you guys, give you guys a hug and, experience that too. So super, super pumped. The other thing that I want to talk about now that we have a little bit more time with Vader is that what are we focused on within like Wolves? So Wolves is like obviously extremely important for me in the way that I have been developing myself, but we're really wanting to open up like Wolves to being like a lot more legitimate in terms of an organization. This kind of happened 2 years ago whenever we really took it seriously by putting on Wolves Den, which was like in GDC for the first year, and we had a blast. We actually made revenue up into that point. It was just like kind of a community that was built around a couple of people, myself being mostly. And we just created a whole bunch of videos and things that attracted people. But then we really focused purely on the community building, which is the levels of discussion, cultural shaping, et cetera, et cetera. And it made it a good, solid place if you could get in to grow yourself and to test ideas without feeling the attack or the pressure of a public audience to be like, oh, I'm going to Snapchat that or whatever it is, to be able to show it out to many people. And that really shifted whenever Wolves Den came, which is like the next pillar that we created. So we had this community pillar. The next pillar that we created was actually the events, IRL. So we created a IRL events specific arm for Wolves. We did the Wolves Den, and we also did the Creator Den for the second time. We did Wolves Den again in 2025, and now we're doing Creator Den for the second time. And it's one of these places that is like one of the most important things that we do, because it brings this kind of intangible thing that you get via Discord into a real specific place that is like very strong in terms of networking and getting to like know your future partners, your future specific people that are like building out, the next generation of tech. So really, really cool place that we're going to be doing. And so we're going to talk about that more in the coming like weeks and months. And then we also are going to be talking about like our media arm. So our media arm is like extremely important, which is like Alpha Wolves and like a whole bunch of like live events and a whole bunch of things that we're wanting to do with media. I'm super pumped about it. And then for product, Kazuna, I can't wait to talk more about it. It's not ready just yet, but it will be. It will be soon. Cool. And I want to see, one second, guys, making sure that I'm not messed up on my dates in terms of time. Okay. Okay, no, we're still good. We're still good. Wei comes in like around like another like 30 minutes or so. So we're good to talk about some more stuff. Okay. And then the other one that I want to kind of talk about is like something that I just posted actually, I think last night, but something that's been really swirling in my mind lately is this concept of why Wolves grew. So, I'm a very reflective person, so I'm very context driven. So I want to know why things worked and can it be duplicated, or was it just like a spur of the moment? I do think that there's like Wolves, there is like a kind of a spur of the moment type of thing right place, right time. But obviously positioning and the whole luck thing, is it right? I was in the position to be lucky type of thing. But the growth of community doesn't come from one person. It comes from many people who see themselves in its values and culture and publicly affiliate with them. As the members grow, so does the org. And so I want to break this down into, because obviously I'm very limited into what I can actually say via X and the confines of that platform, because I'm not very good at not saying or saying very short and concise things. Hence why I want a 3-hour live show, so I can stumble my way through maybe a 30-second clip that actually will work. Love you, Doug. Thank you so much. I was just talking about GigaChadBat and how much fun I had with you guys. But when it comes down to this quote, right, to reset myself, to reorient myself, the growth of the community doesn't come from one person. It comes from many people who see themselves in its values and culture and publicly affiliate with them. As a member grows, so does the org. And I actually think this is the reason why it was so powerful when it comes to NFTs, because the community and the NFTs were all about culture and all about value, especially like, the punks, but also the Bored Apes. Before all of the utility stuff ended up coming again, and making it kind of like worse for companies to be able to like understand or feel like they have the pressure to have this forever utility. There was this really cool moment within like the Azukis, the Doodles, the Bored Apes that ended up becoming a NFT community that people could publicly affiliate to. And it's also why Soulbound tokens ended up really growing really well for the Wolves. But before that, the reason why Wolves grew so much was actually not because of my own effort. It actually happened on accident. I actually turned off my media channel with like my YouTube channel, which is Web3 Gaming, which is where we're currently at. I ended up turning off and focusing purely on the community and pouring myself into the next generation of Wolves. That was before Sam was gamified. That was before Spark even sent a tweet. It was before ICO Beast ever became this huge behemoth. It was whenever Vo was just starting off as an entry-level position at Magic Eden. I could go on and on. There's these elements in which that, like, if you make room to create a culture and to create value systems that people want to identify themselves as, is like a mirror, and they look at that mirror and they look back and they see themselves, they really want to affiliate. And then that leaves you to an option of how do you make them affiliate to you, and how do you incentivize them to keep affiliating as they grow, which then gives and grows the organization. It was very lucky, but I just poured and trusted those people to do right by me, if I'm being honest. And I also just loved doing it. I love people. I love pouring myself into them, understanding what their challenges are, and see if I can help alleviate those challenges so they can grow more rapidly. Right? Icy has a really good specific quote about Wolves, is that we're a shortcut to the destination versus the area in which that, like, that person Icy would have been great regardless, but we just shortened the time in which that people got to see that greatness. And that's really what Wolves is all about, is can we find really strong people that maybe the broader public can't see yet, but they are great. They might need some polish, but let's polish them inside of like a hyperbolic time chamber like Wolves DAO is, and be able to push them to be better, to give them feedback on where they need feedback, and then let them grow and attribute some of that specific success to that polish, but then also put them in front of and display them on a broader stage like Wolves X or these live events, or create a show with them where they're co-host, et cetera, et cetera. And then they become a bigger person within the industry, but it has a very strong tie to the Wolves, and they either put in their bio or they have a Soulbound token, et cetera, et cetera. And part of the reason why I wanted it to be alumni as a KPI for Wolves instead of how active the Discord chat is, it's so shallow, right? When it comes to Discord chats or any type of chatter, Discord, Telegram, X posts, whatever it is, it's just noise. But really what isn't noise is people that are actually building things. And that's what's ended up happening, right? So we had Oliver Maroney that was just at partnerships within OpenSea. He was at gaming before. You have Sam with Gamified. You have all these people that went off to do great things, to start companies together or whatever. And that is a primary metric in which that anybody should be measuring, not, it was super active in Discord last week. Good job. It's like, no, did we move somebody that wants to grow to the next rung, right? And are they super passionate to give back to Wolves and to grow that brand? Then let's get them into a position that they can both grow themselves and also grow the brand in the process by just proxy, right? Because as they grow and people start recognizing them as a person that should be followed, they'll be like, oh, I want to know more about what this person is doing. Oh, they're also in Wolves. Holy crap, that's really cool. I want to be part of that organization. And that's how we grow. Leon does something where it's a, founder's funnel, where it's just a person that is a product and they then go in and create a product in which that people want, and they use their organic reach to be able to do that. I will say, though, the only issue is that you're limited to a founder. You're kind of a mom and pop shop in that sense, right? You're solely weighting that specific community's growth and that specific product's growth off of your ability to grow an audience that wants to follow you. That being said, Wolves actually grew by making more people that have ownership or affiliation to Wolves. It's Sam, hey, you got Wolves Den. It's Julia, you got Kazuna. There's all these different types of ones in which that you give them agency to grow and have the upside of becoming a wolf and to give back to Wolves. It helps them grow, and it's a flywheel. That I think that's the reason why Wolves has grown to a tremendous amount of power and influence. It's not because of me, right? My role in all of this is to find good people, put them into a scenario in which that they can grow and be polished, and then put them out on display to let the world see how great they are. That is my role. It's mostly what I love doing, if I'm being completely honest. And I want to continue doing that for the rest of my life. And so really, when it comes to Alpha Wolves or any of these specific ones, Shasan nailed it on the head with that, right? It's like Wolves is a kingmaker. And I think, and a queenmaker in a lot of ways, right? So like, that's what we want to do, is we want to put more people on display. And I want to be very clear on this. Those people would have been great, but let's shave some years off of that time by putting them into situations and putting them into a network that is going to reward them. And so they feel as if like, wow, the last 3 years, I could have just struggled it out and done it myself, but Wolves helped me get to that next rung way faster. And I'm thankful. I'm going to give back. And that's the flywheel in which that you build a strong community, a strong network for it. Not saying that there's not other ways to build a community, but that's the way Wolves was built. It's kind of like a country club type of like premium network. And I think that's what we're going to continue to do, is to continue to find people that want to be affiliated with Wolves, which is the reason why it's super important, because I downplay my specific time as a content creator quite substantially. But if you think about it, me stopping creating content actually shortened and made it smaller for that top funnel of people to come in and be affiliated with Wolves, right? I think there's a really great pocket of like people watch gaming daily, and I see also chats about Wolves Den or Wolves DAO, that there is a positive downstream effect of that. So yeah, anyways. Yeah, Wi-Fi troubles solved, finally back. Good, because you missed a shambly Payton. The past Payton, around like 30 minutes ago, dude, was freaking out, and all that stuff. V, yeah, I would love to be your mentor, man. If you want me to be there and support you and all that stuff, like I've done it a lot in it. Nothing's been like official, but would love to. If you want to sit down on a call and all that stuff, like you have shown to me. And let me also just set some boundaries here before anybody else asks me, right? So like V has been somebody that has shown me that like he's willing to do more than the usual person. He's, clipped without being asked. He has been showing up to different types of upskills. The reason why Wolves was never a place of leaderboards or a point system was mostly because we did not want people to game the system, right? Good art's law, like something that could be measured will be measured, and then that is the let me just put it up here. This is something that we like live by a lot within like Wolves, and the reason we do is because when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. So the issue within like communities that are just strictly point driven, which Wolves is kind of doing this, but we also suck at giving out scraps for actual stuff. And so there's a balance between what Wolves does as well as what other people do, which I feel like we're more on the right side of history than a lot of others, because once a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure, right? So on that aspect of creating a community, and it's so incentive driven, that becomes the target, right? And so for V, there is no target for them to measure, to hit and achieve, to be a mentoree, right? It's no, like you showed up every single day without being asked, and you gave time to us, we'll give time to you. There's no measure there, because then it becomes transactional, and Wolves will always be relational, right? So yeah, thank you, Shasan. Shasan's always a person that knows the quote that I'm struggling to get by. And Artemis says the dark side of leaderboards. Some people will do anything to get just one rank higher. I think so. Leaderboards is like a double-edged sword in my opinion, especially within like mechanisms in which that people, it just can be gamed a lot, right? And all of us have felt this within like the hard work is actually looking and manually like giving recognition. And that's something that we try to do with Wolves, and we've been falling short. I can't throw stones in Class House. We've been falling short on like the scrap system and the meat system within Wolves, but that was the whole reason and idea, and the intention behind it was that you should not want to be measured in a leaderboard standpoint of liking this post and you get like a reward, right? That reward then can be used for any type of thing within it, which is like kind of like an incentivized measure. And I don't really like that. Will I have to maybe succumb to it in the future to be competitive? Maybe, but I really hope not. I really don't like this incentivization for everything. I would hope that some people want to be a part of something that goes beyond just money. But hey, I'm in literally crypto, so I shouldn't be choosing too much or being picky too much around it. But anyways, I wanted to kind of talk about that, and that's kind of an end rant on that one when it comes to the ability to, do things within like, sorry, I got distracted. ADHD is kicking in hard for that. V says, true. It's one of the lessons I learned on the movie The Gifted. After reaching a certain goal measured, what do I do now? Like it's the end. Yeah, I think like it's very difficult when it comes to having a measure, but also like it's good to also have something to go for, right? It's very difficult, because if you don't have like something to be measured, then you will have like just people, what we have within Wolves sometimes, which is like, I actually don't know how you guys are giving out meat or scraps. And so it kind of pisses me off. And we've gotten that a lot in it, right? Is that like they think that a post that they have is actually extremely valuable. And then like somebody else that didn't do anything good, which I am very ashamed of doing, of just like, I don't know, making me laugh, we'll get a scrap. Like, like that's just not fair in a lot of ways too. So there's definitely counterpoints to every single thing. But I'd rather have people that are going to be showing up that are more relational than it will be transactional. That's just how I'll always operate. I don't know if it's because of my upbringing or anything like that, but it is what it is. Cool. All right. I want to talk a little bit about, I'll go back to the 4 pillars of wolves because I don't feel like I did it in terms of like justification of like this. I think when it comes to like the 4 pillars of wolves, which is primarily it's community. It'll always be community in a lot of ways. Second is media, and then events IRL, and then lastly like software or community tooling, because that is like the sphere of influence as well as like understanding that we have. It's more than a lot of other people do, and we've seen that as we built this software that it is more true, even in the Web 2 sphere, in the traditional gaming sphere. So first and foremost, community is always going to be something that we value and we cherish. That being said, the way in which that we measure a successful community, to my whole rant before this, is very different. I am no longer thinking that the metric of the community KPI is volume of messages inside of the Discord or Telegram. It is now our alumni, and are we actually moving the people that want to be wolves and want to affiliate with wolves to the next rung of where they want to go? That could be somebody that wants to volunteer or somebody that wants to be mentored, like V. It's to upskill people. So it's to pour into the people that are hungry and have the DNA of wolves, which is literally you're going to be an alpha of your own pack one day. How do we get you there? And what is that specific thing that you do want to chase after? That is what we're focusing on with the community, not messages in the Discord or Telegram. So first and foremost. 2, media is one of the most important things that we are trying to push forward. We have been failing and we have been lacking for the last 4 years of actually building out channels in which that we can actually produce things that are not just tentpole events. And what tentpole events mean in terms of marketing are just like bigger beats. We all have a marketing background, so we understand how to hype up a project or hype up an announcement leading up to it. But we need sustainability. We need like the not 0, 0, 0, 0, 100, 0, 0, 0. We need it to be like, 5, 10, and then 100, because we're missing out a lot of opportunity for our brand to be known as something. And again, I'm different in the way that I'm approaching media, and how I approach media is actually not just the Wolves DAO brand. It's Payton, it's Slayer, it's Sam, it's Lau, it's V, it's So, it's Artemis. And all of these people are actually trying to hit and maintain the presence of wolves on the timeline. Matthew from the 100X podcast said something that was like pretty enlightening for me, was that like every single person I interviewed had either Wolves DAO in their bio or knew of Wolves DAO and mentioned it inside of their specific origin story. That is what we want to be. We want to be able to find people that are at the spectrum, that the delta that people maybe pass over or don't care. That's also why we wanted the token to be the gate, because we miss people on the application process. We have not solved a lot of the logistical issues that we have within Wolves, and so that's why we token gated it. Would applications be the best thing that we would do? Absolutely, if I'm being real. But tokens are a really good opportunity to really show somebody that they are serious about taking the next rung of affiliation to Wolves. Is if you can't buy a $15 lifetime membership to Wolves at this time, and that might change in the future, but come on, you have to have some type of step of like, hey, I'm going to take this more seriously. We obviously wanted that threshold to be lower because there are people that are not based in the US, or people that, $15 is a lot of money. And so there's like this friction for people to be able to go in to affiliate themselves to Wolves to the next level, right? And then from the next one is that you see within that community people that are active and people that are chatting and people that show up to the upskills like V, right, or Vix, and show that they are willing to go to the next level. And that is where we want to pour most of our time in for that. And why I say like media is extremely important is because those people usually become spheres of influence within their own vertical, right? And that becomes a thing. I think was it Alex Ramosi or Gary Vee? He talked about like the amount of content or sheer volume of content that he created, and it was like a tremendous amount. I think it was like 90 posts a day, and that's pretty crazy, right? 90 posts a day. But that is not something that we want to do solely from like wolves. I think we do even better if that in the public realm, Sam affiliates, I affiliate, Lau affiliates, Vix affiliates, and you see it inside of bios. Right? That's why Kalshi and that specific tag that they're giving everybody is a big deal, because they affiliate themselves to that. And so that's why PFPs are so strong, is that there is a public affiliation of if this person said something smart, it either bolstered the brand or decline the brand, right? One of the reasons why I think Azukis were so meaningful and so impactful is that there were so many people that repped Azukis that were smart. And that's a huge deal, is that a brand is a person's gut feeling about a word, a thing, or a company. And brand, there's millions of brands. There's not just one brand of wolves. Everyone has a different brand of wolves in their head. And those are usually formed by the raw materials that we either give out or our members. So that's really important. Our members are also the ones that give raw materials out. If people are traders and investors, guess what? They put out a lot of raw materials about wolves of being like an investment specific thesis DAO for investing. And it happened a lot, especially within a season of like wolves that I was also super into investing and buying tokens for it. So that being said, those people kind of came and were attracted, right? They picked up those raw materials and they looked at the mirror and said, hey, this organization looks a lot like me. And for us, you know, where we're moving to now is like what we want to do in terms of the raw materials outwardly is to have one for innovators as well as early adopters, to have people that are like wanting to move into business and have technology, but be able to have a network that is going to help them grow. So yeah, it's one of those things that I'm super excited about. And then the other one is like events, IRL, all that kind of stuff, which, you know, we do that regardless. All right, want to check on time. Still got around 15 minutes. Let's go. Appreciate you guys like just letting me monologue though. This was like, obviously it was an emergency thing with Vader. So he didn't have like the opportunity to, you know, I didn't have an opportunity to like do a sub or whatever. So you guys are stuck with me in terms of that. So, cool. Alrighty. Let's watch and react to Gaming Daily. All right. Let me make sure that also we have audio. Cool. All right, let's react to Gaming Daily here.
Good morning, crypto. Happy Monday. Happy November. It feels like the market dressed up as a bear for Halloween, but that's not going to stop our gaming news, and a lot has happened since Friday.
Hello,
So
Wei Xie.
let's dive into Monday's Gaming Daily, presented by
Vote for
AI,
him.
the official angel investor of Gaming Daily. If you caught the Wildcard DreamHack Atlanta tournament this weekend, you already know it was electric. The team I'm So Fatal, made up of Fatal and Shaded Talent, took home the 5K final on Sunday after
Let's
2
go,
days of open
Fatal.
qualifiers where players battled for a shot at the
Yeah, let me tell you guys right now, Wildcard is so freaking fun. We had a huge game night inside of Wolves, and we talked about it, dude. It was just so much fun. We just trolled each other and all that kind of stuff. And now it's 2v2, so you can always blame your friends if it does not play out well. on your favor. So
the main stage. From booth matches to finals hype, Wildcard continues to prove it's built for live competition and community energy. If you missed it, definitely go back and check out some of the VODs, they're really awesome. The Bornless activated some Twitch drops last week for Steam Screamfest, and hopefully you got one because players earned 3 weapon skins and unlocked a new spooky character tweak just by watching the streams for up to 3 hours. But if you missed it, you can still sign up for their pre-registration event for some in-game items and a chance to win an NVIDIA GPU. We'll have that link in our free to join Telegram channel down below. Star Atlas's Zinc SV.
yo, NVIDIA GPU guys, and they probably got a million signups off of a GPU. Yeah, but if we say that there's a $1,000 or $5,000 airdrop, bro, they're like, well, those are pennies. I'm not even gonna bother. Yo, Web 2 people are just different.
IBM just launched its alpha test airdrop season, a closed test for their upcoming main airdrop. If you remember, Zinc is their SVM Layer 1 chain, introducing on-chain identity through Z profiles. Users with access codes can now level up their profiles, earn rewards, badges, and early progress that will carry over into the full launch. Codes are being shared across.
I think Zinc is the Star Atlas thing, right? Forget.
X, so if you want in, go hunt one down and start building. Immutable just hit 100% circulating supply, which means that every IMX token is now fully unlocked, no more missions, and no more unlock events. It's a major milestone, making IMX the first major gaming ecosystem token to officially mature. Big congrats to Immutable, and now hopefully our bags can go to the moon. And speaking of Immutable, shout out to their Hero Creators program. I've been seeing a ton of creators like Ken, Caden, CryptoGrit, and a bunch of others celebrating. Over 800 people applied and a bunch were accepted. It's always awesome to see Immutable and other chains and projects investing directly into builders, creators, and community leaders who are pushing the space forward. And I feel like Immutable has really been crushing it lately, so congrats. And that being said, the new YGG Play Creator Program is now live, featuring 6 monthly content bounties, 2 leaderboards, and over $10,000 in rewards per round. Each bounty has a $1,200 prize pool, and creators can earn leaderboard points for making content, completing quests, and sharing gameplay. The top performers get invited into the official YGG Creator Program itself, and you can find all of those details and sign up at yggplay.fun/creator-program. And continuing our creator arc, the Sandbox just announced a huge push for creators and UGC. Starting in 2026, over half of each season's content will come directly from the community through game jams, avatar design contests, and Vox edit competitions. Game jams alone will now have $30,000 in sand rewards, plus land prizes, grants, and long-term promotion for top entries. This past Friday, Wilderworld revealed the 6 finalists for their $100,000 Legend of the Wild competition. Each of these creators won a golden ticket and will be flown out for the live finals to compete for the ultimate title. Finals info and prize breakdowns are going to drop this week, but for now, big congrats to Cats F1 Aggie, Marshall, Topcat FM, T-Pro XP, Hash Panda, and Zen X William. It's been super fun watching all of the incredible competition, and we wish you luck in the finals. Aurori has rebranded Seekers of Tokane to Amico Legends, marking the next chapter for their evolving universe. There's not much context yet, but the name change does seem to align with the team's ongoing effort to unify their games and lore under one brand. It is their second rebrand though, so
seeing this with like a lot more games is that they're reducing the scope of the game tremendously and shipping faster. Rick talked about this with Moonfrost, and probably Aurori is doing the same thing, right? Is like the speed in which that people are coming out with patches and all that stuff, like Lowland with like Giga Chadbat and Gigaverse with their patches. Like, I think we're going to see a lot more of this, especially with like indie developers on that. So yeah, just really cool.
That definitely has me a bit curious, but congrats. Following up on our story from Thursday, Kuroro Beast completed its first Kuro buyback.
Yikes.
Around $18,000 worth and added another $35,000, including 10 million Kuro, to their main liquidity pool on Meteora. The team says that this is just the first of many unannounced buybacks to come, with bigger moves planned around their next game release.
So I'll talk a little bit about this. Like, the Kuro Beast like situation is the peak epitome of expectation debt, right? And then also like how long you can like string along people in it. Like, they probably took it to the fullest extreme that they could take it. And then they also just didn't like really announce anyone, right? And so yeah, I just feel like it's a big issue with Kuro Beast. I think that's just like, I don't know. I just like have not like really liked that. And I also think there's just a lot of things within Kuro Beast that like were just literally trying to choose my words carefully. Like they're like epitome of like a company that like literally meta chases, right? And then tries to raise off of the hype and FOMO of their things. And so it shows me that like they just didn't really have a lot of conviction. I don't mind pivots, but it just seems like the pivots were always a step behind the next meta, right? And I think that's like the issue, is that they kept on pivoting, but they kept on pivoting to the next meta, and we're just like, have like an original thought, right? Like have something that like you're going to go and purchase. If you fail, cool, learn from it, but like they never like followed through. They're honestly probably like me when it comes to a lot of like the ADHD-ness of like, oh, I want to chase this. I want to chase AI agents. I want to chase this. And like just really keep on pivoting. But you have to have some people around you to have rails of like, Payton, no, we need to focus on this. And we need to drive it. That's Slayer for me, right? And Sky and all that stuff. So I don't like it. I want to go to chat real quick because Artemis said something about a thing of like pullback in scope, which equals pullback in quality, though. I don't think so. So in terms of what I think about like a pullback in scope, is that it's actually more focused on quality and a more fuller experience for the consumer. What I mean by this, and this is what I said to champions before we kind of like did it, right? Which is like, and Lao, because I don't want to forget Sky, because Lao, Sky, and Slayer and Lems are my rails. I am the ADHD guy on the team. Let me just tell you right now. I would be pivot central. Literally just the Ross thing of pivot. That would be me. That would be me, because I cannot wait and sit on my hands longer than 5 seconds. Anyways, what was what am I talking about here, guys? All right, Artemis, I'm sorry. Does a pullback in scope equal pullback in quality, though? No. And what I want to do is kind of run parallel to something that happened in Champions. Every single one of these games were honestly tremendously big. Champions Ascension was like MMOs, all that kind of stuff. We're going to build an open world. And the reason why they did that is because you want $1 billion valuation, right? You increase this to be able to have funding. And then once you have that funding, you can reduce scope and, do the pivots, and the pivots ensue after that. Because, you didn't have the knowledge, all that stuff. Usually they're just investing into the team anyways. But that being said, when it comes to reducing of scope, I mostly mean that like some of these things should not have been in the scope in the first place. Like, why do you need an open world within Champions? You just need like instance specific areas in which that people can go to. You just actually need a menu in which that you can click, but an open world, being able to be persistent, specific servers and all that stuff, like that introduces a lot more clout, right? Not clout, a lot more just mess and space when you don't need it. It's like, actually, you could just click into Old Sally or click into Arena on a menu, and then now, bam, you're into the experience that is fun. And what I mean by reducing the scope, I really hope that if in reducing the scope does not mean that you're reducing the quality. I actually think it's the opposite. Whenever you have less things to do, the more that you can actually make a fuller tech stack for that. And that's what I mean by like reducing the scope. So I'm like really excited about like what Moonfrost is doing, and as well as Gigaverse Fishing Frenzy is like you build out a vertical first, be able to play that specific game to its fullest extent, and then add stuff on top of it. Don't go wide and then do everything kind of mediocre and then contract it down. Does that make sense? So hopefully that. Yeah, Sky. Yeah, appreciate you in putting me in a different light of ADHD guy does not sound right. You're the idea guy, the visionary. Yeah, in terms of Artemis, I feel like every time a game does a pullback in scope, they cut out what interested me in the first place. That is also very valid. Within Champions, you do have to have, there was people that were really upset that we cut the open world, right? And so there is that aspect of things for sure. But I do think that like in the beginning, they shouldn't be having those conversations in the first place, right? They should not be like, again, it's hard because back in the day, like, people raised off of these extremely high valuations, and you need to build that big of a game to be able to reach the valuations in which that you're trying to achieve. No one wants to, raise money for a fishing game, simply put. All right, guys. I think I just got flagged that we are good to go for Wei on this. And then 1 second, guys. Dum. I want to make sure that I'm good. I want him to see here real quick. 1 second. I'm getting there. All right, cool. Now it should be good. Okay. I see. Am I invisible? No, you're not invisible. You're very much a real person. I see says bars Artemis. More like Kuro no, am I right? Yeah. I just I've never been close to that team, so it's hard for me to even like talk about it. But alrighty. I'll be right back, guys. I'm gonna go talk to Wei, and then we'll wrap up the show. Thank you guys for being patient. All right, guys, 1 second. Dealing with technical issues now on my Google. Isn't that great? Alrighty, guys. I'll be right back. All right, what is up, guys? We are in for the final interview for today, and it is, without further ado, my good friend Wei. Wei, how are you, brother?
I'm good, man. It's been like, I don't know, it's been a few months at least.
It's been too long is the only answer that I'm trying to look for, man. It honestly has been. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a interview, and this actually is going to be a catch-up call, which usually me and Wei do all the time. But it has been a few months because of life. Different types of things that happen. But again, respect the hell out of this man and really excited to dive into everything that he's doing. And so without further ado, Wei went from managing billions in traditional finance to helping build a bridge between gaming and AI. Before co-founding ArenaX Labs, he led multi-strategy investments and helped craft the crypto investment framework for OP Trust, one of Canada's largest pension funds. Now at ArenaX, he's pushing gaming into the next frontier with AI Arena and NRN agents, platforms bridging millions of intelligent agents into games and eventually into robotics. We'll explore how ArenaX is evolving into an AI infrastructure company where games end and robotics begins, and why a browser-based agent training system might be the next big thing unlocked for the interactive AI system. And Wei, welcome to Alpha Wolves. Really appreciate you making the time, brother. Excited to get into this conversation, and also usually do this for only the people that I care about most. So sorry for anybody that I don't do this for. But mostly, like, Wei has been my friend, mentor in seasons, and just really just share life with some people. And Wei is one of those people for me. He's somebody that is just not just a solid individual, also a family man, cares about his family. I've seen him go to conferences, fly the next day because his daughter has like a swimming lesson, right? Or his boy has a swimming lesson. And so there's just a lot of things in which that he makes sacrifices, those kind of like little intangibles that you don't see around people that you do respect. And that is Wei for me. So man, thank you so much for being a friend for the last like probably pushing 4 years now. Many of the conferences together, we won together, we lost together. We, try to keep on building, put our heads down and building together. So dude, appreciate everything. I can't wait to dive in and thank you for your friendship, man.
No, I appreciate that. Obviously the respect is mutual. It's been great knowing you to your point, like it's been 4 years probably.
Yeah, it has been.
Time flies. A lot has happened in our space.
Yeah.
We're still here. We're still kicking. So it's been great.
I did not put this on the read ahead, so I'm going to put you on the spot on one of them as well too. But I forgot about the Venn diagram thing that that you did, which is like, I think your pin post in terms of that. But let's start with really just your journey a little bit. Wei, is like, where we met was mostly around AI Arena, the game, but you guys have been doing a lot of things behind the scenes. We've talked about a lot of the things even before you went public with it, about like maybe a year before you went public. So like around 2023 is whenever you started talking to me about some of the AI and robotics tech that you've been doing. So kind of go through your history at AI Arena and what you've been doing behind the scenes and now a little bit more public.
Yeah, for sure. I think a good starting point in terms of understanding what we do is our core DNA has always been around research and development, R&D. As it relates to frontier AI, specifically around model innovation. And I think the part that is overlooked by the market, and perhaps is an aspect that we haven't really done a great job in articulating, is just how kind of cutting edge some of the things that, from a technological standpoint, that actually went into AI Arena, the game. I still, we're super proud of the game. I mean, the game is still alive. There's still like a cult community that plays it.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. I shoutcasted for it, so it's a lot of fun.
Exactly. Still one of my favorite moments when you and Sam came on and did the whole All-Star tournament. But underpinning like a lot of the products that we've rolled out over time is this R&D DNA about the company. So it may seem on the surface that, you started with a game, and then NRN Agents was about like a gaming SDK and helping third-party studios deploy agents within their games, to now robotics is like, what is the common thread? And the common thread is this R&D. And there's actually some overlap between kind of building games and doing training for robotics, because there is an aspect of training robots that starts in simulation. And simulation, you can think about it as just like a higher fidelity physics engine that's very much like a gaming engine, right? Like an Unreal or a Unity. In fact, I think like Unity and Unreal probably has kind of pre-built robotics packages as well. Like sometimes people actually do simulation and building, they call it like virtual twins in these types of engines. So we've been working on robotics capability since 2023. Most of our, actually all of our engineers have either reinforcement learning and or mechatronics engineering backgrounds, which is the field of study that focuses on things like robots. So we've been doing that for quite a while. We've been building infrastructure around servicing the robotics opportunity set since 2023. And now we're just emerging to start to commercialize and go to market on a few of these things, which I can talk about a bit more on this call. But but that's been, you know, just to answer your initial question, like that's been the background. And it's probably this layer that people don't see. Because, you know, R&D life cycles many times is trial and error. There's a lot of things that going to the engineering side takes a long time. So we're much more focused on robotics these days than gaming.
Yeah, and so in terms of like breaking down of like kind of the day-to-day that you guys do with that, right? I know whenever you guys were back whenever I was talking with you in 2023, it was very probably like maybe like 80-20 AI arena. Well, probably all the tech stack and stuff, it carries over a lot. But what does it look like from kind of a day-to-day operations of focusing more purely on like robotics?
Yeah, I'd say it's almost 100% robotics now. First of all, it's just the market opportunity for robotics is just like massive. The TAM is unbelievably large.
I think in one of your posts you said like 50 trillion. It's pretty much the human like workforce, right? Which is like one of the biggest TAMs.
I think I was trying to be provocative there, but I think, to be honest, like practically speaking, that's really what we're looking at, right? Between digital technology and now embodied technology in terms of how AI is just disrupting both sides, ultimately is human labor that it's either augmenting and or replacing. So that is ultimately the size of the TAM. So, and then within the robotics ecosystem, we're still quite early in terms of scaling commercially a lot of the form factors and or applications of robots into real world settings. It's going to be still a rather long journey. And I think we've identified the pockets that we want to play because there are crucial gaps in the market that we see right now that our infrastructure can actually step in and provide a much needed service. So that largely explains why, you know, basically our entire focus is on robotics now.
Yeah, it makes sense from a business standpoint, as well as like somebody that's just also been operating in the space for a very long time. You know, that's where it's going. Obviously, there's a lot of things that are happening commercially as well too, with that new like home bot and all that stuff. I think that you also tweeted about that as well. Well, makes sense that you tweeted about it. One thing that I want to kind of go into real quick way before we touch back on like robotics and AI and some of the ArenaX tech is really around like capturing some of the lessons that you learned whenever you were purely focused on like more gaming side of things. And you had a really good like thread that talked about the three kind of, I guess, demographics of people, right? It's the gamers, and then the Web3 gamers, and then on the other side, it's like general Web3, which people by simple standards, they call them like degens, right? Like our investors are over financialization. Can you break down more of that post? And then also, if we can, Wei, like explore this a little bit in terms of having a little bit more context around this, especially as you are moving more towards robotics, but your domain was more about like gaming and tokens. Like, what are also some things that maybe that didn't work that you could pass on to a younger self or somebody that's just getting into crypto gaming?
Yeah, for sure. So starting on that thread, basically the punchline of that thread was know your audience and who you're building for, because it's very important from a business standpoint in terms of actually commercializing and making money at the end of the day. And I think sometimes we forget, like
we forget that making money part a lot.
The making money part actually matters a lot. So I think you know, in kind of summarize the broad personas, right? There's the speculators, the general class of Web3 participants. I would say in one way or another, they're speculation driven. You know, to capture succinctly, like the token is the product,
right?
And then there is the traditional gamers, where the game is the product, right? It's really about the experience of the game, the novelty, the mechanics, the community around it. So the product is the focus. And in the middle, there's a group that kind of straddles both spheres. We'll call them Web3 gamers. And, you know, to your credit, like much of that is what the Wolves was built off of, right?
And services.
right. So you know, like, you know, we know that cohort of people, and and I think, you know, the more you operate in Web3, the more you start to understand that once people kind of get used to the token as a speculative entity, their entire preference function starts to shift, right? And it's very hard for someone to acclimate themselves into kind of the speculation mindset, for them to kind of pull themselves back out and be more of like that player persona. I think in aggregate, the financial utility and the prospects of money making is a much stronger pull, for people who are operating in the Web3 ecosystem. And then the other thing that you can't forget is that by virtue of being a Web3 product, even though you're a game, you are competing with the rest of the Web3. Like you can say, no, I'm building a game, and my competitive set is just other games. That's not true. Once you have a token or an asset like an NFT, you start to compete with the rest of what Web3 has to offer. And that entire arena is speculation driven and money making driven. So in that context, you have to start to understand how you design products, because the speculator class, they see most things as an opportunity cost, because most of their time is dedicated to the endeavor of trying to make more money. Right. So you know, and then games are actually a creative endeavor of creative endeavor of how to create very interesting friction. Right. The experience is about adding friction and making it fun, right? And making it challenging, exciting, and competitive. So it's kind of at odds if it's
a different persona of intrinsic motivation versus extrinsic motivation. And that Venn diagram, like you said, there isn't much of an overlap between intrinsic people that want to escape, people that just want to play just to have entertainment value, versus the extrinsic. It's almost like you said, they're at odds with one another. And there's like, when they clash, there's like this weird specific group that is kind of Wolves, but also like within Wolves system too, they've migrated to, and that was one of the big points that you had as well too at the punchline of like, they either migrate both back to it because there's like not really a congregation of people that kind of keep them there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I use this metaphor in another context that may illustrate this as well. Like, I think Web3, in terms of like the token ecosystem, I'm not talking about the underlying blockchain technology, which is a little bit more neutral and agnostic of the financial part of it. The token and speculative ecosystem,
which is primarily crypto Twitter.
Yeah, it's primarily crypto Twitter. It's like, it's a one-way door, in my opinion. When you cross that threshold, it's very hard to cross back into the traditional world. And I like to describe it in like, it operates on a different set of physics than the real world and financial physics. So like what I like to say is like, imagine, okay, in the regular world, if you're just like walking outside and someone happens to drop $100 bill on the ground, you are inclined to go and pick up that $100 bill because the opportunity cost is, generally speaking, nothing. It's actually worth your time to make the effort to walk over and reach and pick up that $100 bill. It's positive EV, right? Because there's this thing called opportunity cost, and the opportunity cost is lower than the effort that is required for you to go get it.
Right.
The problem with Web3 is every single individual, any project is its own sovereign central bank. So everyone has a money printer. So what you live in is actually a world where it's constantly just raining money, all sorts of different types of money. right? And in that world, actually, there is a high opportunity cost to explore, right? So it would be it would be similar as to like you're just sitting there and people are dropping bills left, right, and center, and you actually have to sit there and think about, do I make the effort to go pick up that $100 bill that's issued by Payton relative to the $100 bill that's issued by Wei, relative to the $100 bills that's issued by thousands of other people that are just concurrently generating money out of thin air, right? In that world is very different in terms of how you think about building product, how you market, how you distribute, how you generate attention. It's completely different. So again, it kind of maps to this like Venn diagram of personas, because how you generate a product and how you design a product has to take into account that this is the operating reality, the physics of the system.
This is so fascinating, Wei. Like I've never heard it. I've like very much in like, I loved your thread, but what you just said like helps me. And I was just kind of nodding my head along because it makes so much sense. And I've never heard of it, of like the opportunity example. I feel like that's like a really big unlock for me. So I'm going to have to go like maw on that a little bit, but you've been already mawing on it for a while. Is there something that does possibly work? I've seen some like people that have been like, and maybe this is also what Gabe is kind of trying to do with like the specific app tokens, or like a lot of people are actually innovating on liquidity pools and fees and, you know, stable coins. Is there a world in which that this works, or is it just entirely different from what we have done before? And I think this is also like where I want to give a little bit of an excuse. I know like I'm going to get freaking slammed in chat for this, but like a little bit excuse from like the builders, because back in 2021, a lot of us had a thesis that wasn't planning out with what ended up happening, which is exactly what you just said. Is like we had a thesis that gamers would come and that there was like this intrinsic, extrinsic motivation. That Venn diagram, as you said, it's not a one-way street, it's a two-way street, and this is going to be awesome. It's the next like evolution of like gaming per se. But to your point, we went through that door and we try to find the door on the way back, and we're like, no, it's gone. It's gone. Is there something that has been working, or have you seen like glimmers of success in the gaming market that you're like, man, that actually might work, but I'm doing my robotics thing, but I will keep my eye on this?
Yeah, I think
and you could say no. You could just be completely brutally honest. I just want to make the space open for it.
Yeah, well, I think the problem is okay. So let me try to organize my thoughts a little bit.
Sorry,
so
that question was all over the place.
I think no. It's not the problem of the question. It's like there's so many different angles I can take it. So I think the primary issue is we have a mechanism, let's call it a token, that provides, is simultaneously like an item that you can use to coordinate efforts, to incentivize behaviors, and also reward people for the value that they bring into a system.
Right.
It's hard to disaggregate all those components separately, so they're kind of just jammed into one thing. The issue is you introduce this type of, let's call it an asset, very early in the life cycle of a project or a company. And that's very difficult to make it all work, because the reality is 99% of projects in crypto is early stage products or services that are pre-product market fit. Right? i.e., they haven't achieved sustainability in terms of the inflow of value into the system. Right? But what we have is a mechanic that immediately forces the function of redistributing value back to the people who are trying to contribute value into the system. So I think having this token mechanism too early in the life cycle of these projects is problematic. Now, suppose we started this whole system backwards and said, okay, only established businesses are allowed to create and use tokens, i.e., only businesses that have demonstrated product market fit are already starting to make money at scale are now able to introduce tokens. I think that would be fantastic for crypto. I'm not suggesting that should be the approach, but it's just a thought experiment, right? And I draw that contrast because I think tokens do have utility. They can be designed in a way that supports a well-functioning and sustainable system. The problem is most of the projects have not achieved product market fit. They're pre-revenue. They don't have this inflow of value into the project itself. We need that. And many times this goes back to the initial joke that we said is like making money is important. Yeah. It's like most times, like as a cohort of people, like we overemphasize the design of the value capture component, which is tokens, when there was no value to capture in the first place. We haven't even gotten there yet. So I think all of this is kind of premature, and maybe we're still so early in the grand scheme of things in terms of crypto maturing as a broader ecosystem. I think the focal point for projects ought to be, let's make money first.
Yeah.
Let's achieve that sustainability part of the equation, and then let's introduce tokens. Right. And I think we'll probably have more success that way. Having said that, you still have to be very careful about token design, right? Because I still think the financial speculation and the propensity to gain will alter how people behave in a system.
We just talked about Godard's law right before you came on, which is like, it's like what a measure becomes a target it like no longer becomes a good measure, right?
Exactly. And I still think humans are very adaptable. You give them, you introduce them into a new paradigm, they start to optimize according to those rules. Right. So when you make something about money, then the money utility starts to dominate how they behave.
Right.
So I still think that I'm very optimistic about how tokens can be designed and used in the future. Like to your point of like giving examples around like DeFi examples,
right,
and like stable coins, et cetera. Well, those things as a starting point, like stable coins, like a Circle and USDC, it's a very sound business that they're running, right? That's a money printer in and of itself, right? So you can overlay kind of design mechanisms using tokens to incentivize certain types of behaviors, to reward them. But I think there's still going to be evolution there. And I think from the perspective of like, how do you leverage Web3? Web3 is very good at creating incentives and distributing that value back to a group of people. So we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. You want to preserve that aspect of it. And I see an angle as to tokens becoming this a more powerful and flexible design mechanism to traditional loyalty programs.
Yeah,
I think that could be a very good use of tokens in terms of how do you coordinate a lot of the resources and or the type of behaviors that you want to see to create loyalty, and then reward people as a function of it. But you can design it in a way that's a lot more sustainable, and then it actually adds to the flywheel effects of the core business. And allows it to scale faster.
It's kind of like also some mechanism of like kind of what kind of popped into my head, which I don't know if this is like completely true, is that whenever you have like an Apple stock or Google or whatever it is, you do have an affiliation towards that specific company. Like and some of the culture of like around like holding like stocks and assets is like, supporting the company and having ownership in that specific company. And to your point, the loyalty specific mechanism has not been really displaced. And this might be a way in which that like, we're trying to find a solution, or we're trying to find a problem to it for the solution that we have. But I do think that there is like some mechanisms in which that you can have downstream effects of, value that are given to the community as it goes and as it grows. But to your point, it needs to start off in revenue and do it. I know we joke about, but like that is an epiphany that we've had in crypto over the last like year or so. And it's been a very sobering thing because you see a lot of people closing up shop. But that's also like within like the gaming ecosystem of like only like 99% of games, or 99% of the games like fail too, right? Okay, so Wei, we did a really amazing conversation on that, but I do want to get back to what you guys are doing, what you guys are building, and also like how people can find you and be part of this like vision and the journey that you're building, right? In terms of that. So like what's next for you? How can people get involved?
Yeah, for sure. I think this is again one of the first conversations. So people are going to get alpha on this call.
Let's go.
It is called Alpha Wolves after all.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've also been building a lot of infrastructure to support robotics in the background. In that process, we discovered a major gap that needs to be supported and filled in the industry. And it focuses on what's called policy evaluation and benchmarking.
Okay.
And I think the best example of that in let's use it like a LLM type like analogy is something like LM Arena, which is and you know a lot of different like third-party kind of benchmarking frameworks that basically assess all of these LLMs on different performance dimensions. But these platforms are third-party, they're neutral, and they're kind of they lean on kind of reproducibility. Can you kind of verify the methodology and reproduce the results that they created? Why is this important? It's important because there needs to be objective evaluation of how these models work, right? Left to their own devices, companies are always going to cherry pick results.
Right.
And this is like a big problem in robotics right now. There's a lot of hype in robotics. You know, the things that go viral is like robots doing backflips. Right. You know, and acrobatics, and even the recent announcement of the Neo robot from 1X.
Yeah.
I don't know if people have been following, but like what they showcase in that teaser video on the pre-order that they're going to launch next year, like the robot is not going to be able to do all those things. Right.
It was somebody with a VR headset that was actually.
Yes, it was all teleoperated, right? So. What it showcases is that there's still a massive technological gap between hype and reality. And part of what is required to bridge that gap is credible, neutral, scalable, third-party benchmarking and evaluation of all of these quote-unquote frontier models or policies. So that's kind of what we're going to be tackling.
That's awesome,
and
dude.
The one of the reasons why it doesn't exist is actually the infrastructure that's necessary to support this is very difficult to build. Robotics engineering right now and research for models, et cetera, like the entire back end, it's a dog's breakfast. It is just, like.
And not a dog in San Francisco, guys. We're talking about
it's
the average dog.
It's a pain in the ass. Like, so to build an infrastructure that can standardize a lot of these things and then bring all of the different types of models that were basically built using different tooling, DevOps, infrastructure, it's a monumental engineering effort. So in the way that we were developing that pipeline, we realized that we can actually use this for the purposes of benchmarking and evaluation. So that's the opportunity that we're leaning into. Now, from a commercial like business building perspective, this is a massive market as well. The best analog is again like LM Arena that just raised $100 million from the A16Z alongside some of the biggest venture capital funds on a $600 million valuation. And they do more kind of human preference data as a way of like evaluating all of these large language models. And we're kind of mirroring their general business approach, but applying that towards the robotics opportunity set. Cool. And ultimately, what we want to become is a way to standardize benchmarking and evaluation for robotics policies, and then building a suite of enterprise services around that.
Awesome. Dude.
Yeah. In terms of like going back to this like $50 trillion TAM, in order for us to get there will require a lot of process reengineering and embedding AI into the flow of what humans used to do, whether that's like on the business side, whether that's on the labor side, like physical labor. And part of that process requires a suite of tools that can actually evaluate how effective AI is at doing all of these tasks. That measurement layer is critical. So this may not be like a traditional business that existed, but if you start to disaggregate the value chain, it's actually a critical component of how this entire part of the economy starts to scale. So we think we want to be kind of positioned in that critical point of the value chain, and we have the infrastructure to kind of support that.
That's awesome.
And that's what we're going to really try to lean into. So yeah, well, I'll probably be publishing something on this, like an article, long form article about this.
Yeah.
Probably next
week. On your
week.
X?
So
or on
my,
okay, cool.
On my X, just to like frame the problem and then talk about how what we're doing with Psi, which is this platform that we're building, and how NRN supports Psi in achieving this this ultimate objective.
Very cool. Do you have one more second? One more question?
Yeah.
I've been asking the parents of this show, like, what they're thinking about with kids in this next like specific era. And everybody has like thought about it, especially like for me, I have 4 little ones. Where are we going, and how do you teach kids, or what are the key things that we should be teaching our kids in this realm of AI, robotics, everything that we watched growing up, the iRobots, Terminator? Well, those are 2 bad examples, but you know what I mean? In terms of those are the 2 terrible ones. But you know what I mean? Like it seemed like so sci-fi, but now it seems like, oh, we're actually years away from it. Maybe not even years, but like maybe even months, where it starts to, you start seeing it on social media and all that stuff. What are you doing as like a parent, or even how are you thinking about it in raising your kids in this environment?
Yeah.
I know it's a tough one. I know it's probably
the honest answer is I don't know. I don't know what ultimately is going to happen. I think thematically, I'm a big proponent of individual agency, in the sense that we have an incredible vector of a control over our own destiny as individuals. Like, we can create the outcomes that we seek. And we need to take that responsibility onto ourselves, right? So it's actually like furnishing ourselves with the skills to be able to adapt to whatever the prevailing norms and outcomes are. I think, in the age of AI proliferation, I do think that there's going to be more and more of a premium put on human interaction. And things like being empathetic, having high EQ, communication skills, interpersonal skills, those things are very, very important. I think having the skill set in terms of being able to create your own distribution, much like what you do, Payton, is very important. Because I think we all become our own kind of marketing and distribution engines.
Right.
I think you definitely need to know how to utilize AI.
Yeah.
At least, prior to the point where we just have general purpose AI that can do everything.
Yeah. I was even talking about it where like this is like the next generation of like Word, Excel. Like these are the new software tools that are just going to be standard, of like, you need to know them or like you will not keep up.
100%. And I think right now in this moment in time, if you are a master, you don't have to be a master. You can just be very proficient at using these tools. You have like a 10x advantage on the next guy.
Yeah.
And
do you think that's going to turn into a 100x very soon, Wei? Or, like if people don't catch up?
I think so. I think it's just moving so quickly. And, we're not even getting to the point where like AI is like recursively self-learning as well.
Yeah.
Right. So I think like, having a skill set to leverage the tool to really amplify your core competency is very important. And then there will also be a class of people or a particular skill set, which is like architecting, right?
Yeah.
Which is seeing a vision of how disparate pieces come together. And now you can like mobilize not just humans, but agents,
right,
in attacking small chunks of those things that, pool together as this like very, very powerful system or project or business. If you're able to do that, I think that's one area that will still be quite difficult for AIs to solve. Is just like, architecting this big picture and then actually deploying and allocating resources in a way that makes it happen in an efficient and scalable way.
Yeah.
Once we get to that type of AI, then it's like, yeah. I don't really know. I don't really know what humans are doing at that point.
Yeah. And well, it goes back to what you're kind of talking about with like human interaction and everything like that becomes more of a premium as we get closer to that specific end state. I think, it was, who was it? I think it was Loaf, who was like Lord of a Few. We had a call with him last week, and he's like at the cutting edge of like contextual AI agents in terms of like understanding more than the typical. And he was talking about like, where we do get back to some of the arts and sciences and actually like trying to solve problems that are like getting to the stars and all that kind of stuff. It was very inspirational, obviously. But there's a lot of these things that was really cool that like I never really thought about as something that we're going to be more focused on moving forward. So anyways.
Yeah. It's
yeah.
Brave new world, man.
Yeah. Brave new world indeed, man. It's something that's kind of crazy. And, I think what we're moving into is just something really cool that we haven't seen before. And I'm here for it, but Wei, thank you so much for your time, dude. And I want to have more of a talk as you get closer and closer with some of the robotic stuff and everything like that, but also love to have you as a reoccurring guest to kind of give a little bit of feedback on, things that are happening in the AI robotics world. I think would love to have that clip in. And so you can also be the person that reports on it as well. So.
Absolutely. Great to be back. Great to see you, brother.
Yeah. Great to see you too.
Yeah. Hope to be back soon. And, let's have a strong.
We need to find a conference that we both are in, because that's usually that's usually a reason to meet each other and hang out. So
absolutely.
All right, buddy.
We'll find one.
Yeah, we'll find one. Easy. All right, brother. Love you. I'll see you later.
All right. Bye. Take it easy. Bye.
All right, guys. That is it when it comes to the interviews for today. It was honestly such great too. I loved Ric's like specific honesty around everything. Like it was just straight up like banger in terms of like honesty within the issues that like a lot of the gaming people have. And if Artemis, you're still listening, or Shasan, or anybody that's currently in like the media team, I think a lot of the big theme that we got from these two guests was the ability to create or be honest about like what the industry is and like the mechanisms in which that people are doing and playing. Like it's very, very difficult to navigate. Because like if you talk to Wei and you talk to Ric and you talk to me and you talk to anybody that's currently there's just like some realities and truth. The issue with gaming being such a long tail is that like your thesis, especially in an underdeveloped, culture, sentiment, and all that stuff, is like it shifts underneath your feet as you go, right? I gave crap to like Kuro Beast, but like how many metas and all that stuff did they survive? And they're still, surviving, I would say. Like it's just such a hard thing to do, right? And when do you pivot of like the mechanisms of games that isn't producing like revenue? I know we kind of talked a little bit about that, Artemis, but like, what is that, right? Like, when do you as a studio be like, okay, this idea and this thesis that I had in Web3 gaming that people are going to care about ownership, people are going to care about trading their assets, that doesn't play out. And they're seeing it not play out from the games. And some of it, the games have a huge issue with them, right? Some games are just not fun to play. But where does that leave them, And Wei put in a lot of like really good understanding for me in terms of understanding the thought process of a speculator and crypto, and it's a one-way street. And, he kind of also pointed out to Wolves is kind of the only place that you do encounter this very rare unicorn of somebody that likes gaming, but also likes the speculation and the trading and the NFTs. And that's like a very hard pill to swallow, because I think the reason why I made this community was to gather people like that. And how many of us are there? I don't know. You know, I do not know. So I completely forgot that I had a foot pedal. I could have been hitting replay buffers the whole time. Sorry, space. But no, I appreciate you, Artemis. Hopefully you enjoyed it, but I was very shambly for a part of it. But yeah, that's just something that kind of makes me think. Makes me think a lot, actually. Yeah. Anyways. Shasan, just to kind of touch on some of the stuff that you were kind of talking about, which is, you know, yeah, he was kind of talking about it. The asset selection, deciding the right eco to spend time on, has become so important in Web3. That was such a huge like moment of like opportunity, right? Where like there is more opportunity that's like reigning in the opportunity cost. Like I've struggled with the temptation of like just making content to just get a bag, right? Or just talk about financial specific thing that I used to. It's really tough. It's really tough. Oh, Crypto Grit, congrats on the new home. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Thank you. I do need to be better, like at just like, you know, chilling, like hanging out and like just chatting and not having the quietness linger. Like I tend to like want to fill time whenever the quiet lingers. But I need to be better at that. But that'll just make me a better streamer. All right, guys. Well, that is it for that. You guys have heard me monologuing already for way too long. I do appreciate every single one of you guys. We're going to end the stream and then try to troubleshoot this freaking camera because it's a toxic relationship that I cannot break out of. So appreciate you guys. Love every single one of you guys. And please stay safe during the holidays and all that stuff. It can be really great for some people, but really bad for others. If you are